Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It is time for art. I'm Hershey Petty. I'm your host, and we're here with Allison, Allison Crary, our esteemed artist. Hello, Allison.
Hello, Hershey. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
Very good. Excited to draw today.
Yeah, so today, Wednesday, today's going to be a drawing day for us. Today, we're just going to go through, we're going to practice drawing the paintings that we're going to be doing on the next couple Mondays. So Allison's going to go over the materials, whatnot, but keep in mind before we go into the things that you'll need out of your box, the painting tutorials, all of that, all those videos that you're gonna need to really get down and dirty and complete your paintings can be found on YouTube, and the links are in the box on these pages. So today you're just going to be following along, having fun. You'll be drawing, making errors, erasing, stuff like that. There's no finished product that needs to be done today. So today's all about fun, right, Allison?
Absolutely. So we're going to draw the owl first that we're going to paint next week in our sketchbooks, journals. And we're also going to draw the moth and the flower cluster. And this is because it's a good idea to practice drawing. This will not be your final work, whether we have an outline for that so that when we all paint, it's going to be nice and easy and everything's going to line up. But it's very important to learn to draw as you learn to paint, because both skills kind of help you. And so we're just going to really simple break it down, how to draw the owl and how to draw the moth and the flower cluster. And we're going to do it in our sketchbooks. And so all you're going to need today is your art journal, your time for art pencil or any pencil. But I certainly recommend a pencil, because a big part of drawing with a certain degree of accuracy is erasing. It's like when you learn to sew, you need a seam ripper. It's part of it. It's an integral tool. And so make sure you got a good eraser on your pencil. And these are your templates for the paintings we're going to do. And I just kind of want to take you through it. This is the finished painting. Over here is the QR code to a video that's already on YouTube that you can scan. It'll take you right to a very detailed step-by-step instructional video. It tells you where to pause. It tells you what the steps are. It tells you the colors we're mixing and how much of it. All of that it was designed to be watched and paused and to paint along with. Same for this one, but today we're going to do a drawing of these two paintings that we're going to do. And drawing is all about making a series of marks and a series of measurements and then taking a look to see how close you got. And so we're gonna embrace the trial and error of drawing today. And for everyone who says they can't draw, turn off that noise. You don't need it. You need to embrace no one gets it right the first time, and it's the exercises that get you there and then you'll just get more and more proficient at those exercises, which will make you a both stronger drawer and stronger painter. So that's what I'm
personally really excited for this day, Al, because there's going to be so many erasings and starting over and checking your work, like you said. Like, I'm really excited to hear from our viewers out there today, like, because this is a day where you don't have to worry about following every step. Like, please share with us your questions and whatnot as they come up, because we're here to draw with you guys today. So
absolutely. So please talk. Yeah, Hershey's looking at all the comments. Stop me if you have a question. We're going to draw it from beginning to ending. There's no swaps today. So this is all about figuring out how to draw the owl and the moth and the flowers. All right. So we're going to start with the owl. And when I start with the owl, we're going to look for overarching shapes. So I see a circle right here. I see some big arches here. This is more of an incline or descending line. This is kind of an apostrophe sort of shaped arch. This is kind of, I'd say the body looks kind of like a cigar or I don't know, kind of a cone shape. And that's what we're going to make here. And when I practice this, I'd say the feet are kind of the tricky part. So we're going to save those for the end. And we're going to get started.
And Allison, we're just sketching now the owl. We're not trying to do it Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're gonna take this and we're gonna draw it right here. So
Right.
the first thing, and a mistake I still make, is I'll get going and then like half of the drawing to scale will be off the page. So something I try and make myself do, I'm gonna start with a circle. I'd say it's about silver dollar sized, maybe a little smaller.
Yeah.
And I know I want this to kind of end over here. So I've made a mark there. And that looks about right. I think I'll be able to fit my whole owl in, but I don't want it to be too small. So I've got my silver dollar. I've got my my point where my cone, my kind of curved cone shape is going to go. And I'm going to make an arc that kind of rainbows or frowns. those are synonyms, a rainbow and a frown.
Yeah.
This way.
So you're
And
just
then
breaking this down into basic shapes.
very basic shapes. And the reason you do that is because we don't want to get into this to the intricacies of the face and realize that's not where we want them. My art teacher growing up called it a well-drawn mistake. You can have a beautiful face. Here's the problem. It doesn't go there. And so you got to get it all off. So we're just going to go with basic shapes at this point. And over here, there's kind of an arc that goes this way, and then a line kind of comes out of it and connects this shape right here. So I'm going to start at the bottom of this circle, and I'm going to do an arc kind of like this, kind of a smile shape.
Alrighty.
And then I'm going to make a mark right about there on my smile. And I'm going to kind of have a line that comes out this way and back over this way. And so we're just going to kind of take some measurements at this point. I'm going to get rid of this line in my circle because it's not, it got me started, but it's not going to be in the final. And so I'm going to take a look, and all of this looks about right. I'm going to draw in sort of where these points line up. So there's a point here where this kind of feather grouping comes out, and it's not quite halfway between these. It's a little lower. So I'm going to put that right about here. And the feathers kind of start and end there. And then this is kind of a straight line that kind of takes you up here. And I'm just going to kind of check some of these. This arc I made before. The feathers kind of, I'm going to draw in this shape down here because it kind of, it's going to give us some information for where we start and finish our feathers.
So Allison, with your with the lighting that you have, it's a little bit hard to see your pencil drawings. I want to see the abdomen. That I can see a little bit of shading where you drew the abdomen. Can I see where you did that?
You know what? I'm just going to make everything darker. All right. So here we go. How's this, Hershey?
There you go.
Thank you for telling me that.
That's great. That's great. That was that was an excellent comment from Lori Flanagan Haig, who is coming to us from, I believe, she's in Ohio. Is that right?
Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, Minneapolis, because we've got people, just so you know, from St. John's, Crown Point, even Ohio right now.
Very, very, very exciting.
I know. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Can't wait to see your owls.
All right. So I was right here, and I just want to kind of draw in this cluster of feathers down here. And so this one kind of does, I don't know, kind of another apostrophe shape, kind of going this way, connects to where I kind of brought my arch down from there, arc. And then this one kind of does the same thing. And the reason I put these in is because all of these marks kind of help us put in, they're going to help us put in the wings on top of there. Really quick over here, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to start this kind of right at, so if you were to connect this line all the way over, where it would end is right about here. That's where I'm going to start this line that comes around like this
Oh, yeah, yeah.
over here. And there's kind of a dark line right here. And that's this kind of wedge shape. And right here is where we're going to start this wing. And right above here is where that wing is going to end, if you look. So I'm just taking a measurement right here. There's a line that goes right up from where this feather cluster sort of begins and ends. And right here is where this wing ends. And so this wing comes up like this. Ends right about here. And this is kind of a long, sort of, it makes kind of a soft triangle as it comes down.
As I'm doing mine, I'm realizing that not only do I need a pencil sharpener, but I also need an eraser because I'm doing a lot of erasing already.
Alrighty, and that's all right. I'm gonna bring this
Yeah.
down. And then I'm gonna start this wing over here. And this is gonna be this kind of arch that goes this way and an arch that goes in the other direction. And it's probably gonna end, taking a measurement, it's about 1/3 up right here. So this is gonna arch this way. All right, so we've got the majority of our owl in. Let's take a look at it and see if we like it. I'm already seeing that my owl is too thick through here. All right, this is a lot more narrow. It's too wide through here. So I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna look at the distance from here to here. And I'm gonna say, okay, I think I wanna bring it in about this much. And I think that looks a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase this line and bring it in like that. I think it could be even not too much higher, but a little bit higher. I think this wing looks pretty good. I think this kind of cluster of wings where we started, not that it matters a whole lot, but bring this over here. That comes in a little bit more. I'm ready to drop in the feet. So this first, the way I'm going to draw the feet, I'm just going to show you over here. I'm going to draw them kind of like, almost like snowmen hands like this. Oh, that's off screen.
Yeah,
Like, not that. I'm going to put them in kind of like snowman hands like that. And then we'll draw sort of the talons and fingers around them. So this first foot is going to come down like this, and it's got a line this way and a line this way, and then one over here. So that's our first foot. Can you see that? I'm just going to draw, I'm going to erase this framework.
You see that there's a lot of empty space down at the bottom left, so maybe we'll move stuff down.
Oh, I'm better. How's that?
Yeah.
Much better?
There we go.
Same thing goes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, all right. Same thing goes for over here. So there's gonna be a line this way, comes down like this, 2 lines this way, over this way, up and over there. And so that's kind of where these guys are gonna go. And I'm just gonna kind of build out kind of fingers around them.
Okay.
Do you see how I did that, Hershey?
Yes, I did. I'm trying to do it now myself, but
and then leave it alone. This is not the most important part of your drawing. I'm going to go in and erase
my feet
some of the
look
stray
interesting.
marks there.
You never think about bird feet when you're drawing a bird, you know?
You don't think about bird feet when you're drawing a bird, but I feel like an
Wings
owl
are what you think of.
deserves some quality talons.
Yes.
And I'm just going to show maybe even a little bit bigger how I did that. So I
Great.
came out like this. I drew, and I'm kind of calling these like snowman hands. like
Uh-huh.
that. Okay. And then I kind of built out sort of these talons around them. So this was kind of a map for where to begin and end. And then this was back at it.
Okay,
That was my method.
I like it.
All right. Now we're gonna try and work in the face. So I'm gonna look and see kind of where it starts. And it looks like the nose or the beak ends about there. It's gonna start about here on my circle. And it breaks the circle and comes back over like that.
Okay.
Just like that. And there's kind of a line right here. And then the eye,
Forward, be careful real quick because of your hair. There we
I
go.
keep doing it.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. Okay. And then the eyeball, that's already too high, goes right about there.
Yeah. All right.
And then this gets a little sort of line that connects them. And then there's kind of an arc sort of comma shape over here.
Yeah. The face is tough for me.
Well, you know what? Move on to something else and then we can put in the face last.
Okay. All right.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to work on this wing right here. And so this wing gets sort of an arc that goes this way. And then I'm just going to draw the feathers right over the line I made initially. And there's this kind of edge where there's probably a bone for the bird's wing. So we want to make sure we get that in. Just like that. And this is kind of a shaggy sort of feathered line right there. It'll break up, it'll erase some of our guidelines we don't need. And kind of get the feathers the way we want them. They start out with more gaps and then they get closer together as they get closer to this other feather.
There's a lot of intricacies to the wings. Like as I drew mine, the arches that I made, they don't match the painting. And so going back and erasing now and redoing it, it's making them feel so much more realistic.
Oh yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't understand about art. I'm gonna get rid of this line completely right here. Is that it takes a lot of layers and tries to get to where you need to be. So at the bottom of this wedge we made right here where the dark is going to go, that's actually where this line starts. And this line follows along
Allison, can you pull the drawings? Can you pull your drawings down closer to you a little bit?
Absolutely. Keep telling me.
Thank you so much. And thank you at home for just typing out little comments. Let us know what you need so you can see it better. We'll respond right away.
It's very important you can see this.
Yeah.
So the wing starts here, but the feathers kind of end here. So, and this doesn't have really deliberate feathers. This just kind of has the edge of feathers.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, we can't really even see individual feathers at all. So this is just kind of a shaggy sort of fringe line that comes out and around here. And I'd say it's time to put that into our face now, sort of similar. There's this kind of shaggy fringe line that comes up and around this way and gets sort of finished around this line that we put in the first time. And these guidelines that we put in for the feathers before, I'm going to make these look a little bit more like feathers.
By what? Just like kind of shading them in?
Yeah, just making them look a little bit more like feathers, just putting in sort of the gesture of the feather.
Okay.
This comes up and around this way. This feather is more rounded at the edge than I have it. And that's a pretty good first pass at our owl. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put in our darkest colors, and then we're going to check our shapes because it's a lot easier to check our shapes with a little bit of contrast. So I'm going to fill in the eyeball.
And the contrast is the part for me, honestly, that just fascinates me, like how you know where to put that stuff. So can you walk us through that too? Like,
sure. So it's actually kind of simple on this particular painting that we're looking at. Everywhere we have this kind of dark, sort of, I'd say sort of deep gray color is where we're going to fill in our owl right now. So not where there's brown, but where there's this kind of deep gray color. So I want to make sure that this sort of comma that offsets the eye goes in. This little mark next to the beak goes in. This area on top, I'm just going to fill that in. And I'm just kind of filling it in almost coloring book style, just to get an idea of where everything goes. I'm gonna fill in about a third of the way up this wing like this. I'm gonna put in all of this dark that's on the owl's underside like this. Over here. Up and over here. The talons kind of on the right side are darker.
yeah, right.
I'm gonna fill those in. There's a little bit of dark on this side of the wing. There's a little bit of shaping right up in here.
Yeah. And how are you doing that? You're just kind of like going.
I'm just filling it in for now.
Okay.
All right, and I'm just going to erase some of my stray marks so they're not confusing. So any marks I didn't necessarily intend to be in my final picture, I'm going to go ahead and erase.
Here's the
and now we're going, all of this needs some of that treatment. And don't be afraid of erasing your stray marks. It kind of sounds ridiculous, but a habit I had to break myself of. I didn't erase my stray marks, but I like dug trenches in to make like my other lines heavier. All that does is leave all the lines you didn't want and then make the other lines, if you have to erase, very difficult to remove. So
you know what? I'm right. That is exactly where I'm at in my journey.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to save some time. I'm not going to erase the eraser mark or the lines to be erased. And you're right. You just end up messing yourself up.
And it must be human nature because it's what we all do. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and compare these guys. And the first thing I see on my drawing, might not be on yours, is I don't like this shape right here. Mine's a little short. The owl in the painting has a longer ear, has like sort of a, this area is longer. So I'm going to go ahead and make my line like that. And I'm going to erase all that's inside.
I've actually done the exact same thing.
And make that adjustment just like that. And it's actually got to come over here like this. So this is going to come out here, but it's easier to tell when we have a few things, a few of the values. The value is how light or dark your image is, or parts of your image are. And so when we put in some of our darks, it's easy to see some of those things. So That's an adjustment I just made. All right, I like how that looks. I like how this looks. This is all a little bit darker, needs to be cleaned up. Otherwise, I think everything else looks pretty good. I'm going to put in some of these details in the feathers. This first feather has 3 marks, kind of like this. The second one has 3 marks, kind of like this. So does the third. And then it kind of goes to sort of 2 after that.
Just sketching in the like the color patterns on the
yeah, just sort of where the pattern begins and ends.
Yeah.
I'm going to take all the areas that I made darker and I'm going to make them even darker now.
Okay.
So I know where they are because we're going to fill in the half tone, which is on this painting. The kind of mocha brown tones. I'm actually looking, I'm going to bring up my eye a little bit. Mine's a little low. That's better. See, look at that.
Yeah. I think, yeah. The
And-
beat positioning is tricky.
And here's the thing. It's really good to do this kind of intense drawing practice. It's also really good to say, I have taken this drawing as far as I'd like to take it today and flip the page and do a different drawing. It can be your owl again. It can be your moth. It can be anything else. But it, to me, is a mistake to keep like digging in to the same piece that you've spent your energy on.
You know, and that's the great thing about our art journal is that, you know, I don't have it right here in front of me. My other art journal, I've kind of already gone through one, if you can imagine.
Excellent.
But you know, the drawings you go through and you can see how your art journal, like page after page, where you're like, wow, I'm getting better at this one thing that I'm doing over and over and over.
Absolutely. Excellent. Excellent. So I'm just going to let you know what I'm doing right now in a lighter tone. Now that I've made my other areas darker, I'm filling in all the areas where it's this kind of mocha brown tone on the owl.
Okay.
Just like that. That's this whole area up in here. That's kind of the right side of these feathers. If you hear right now, Marvin's thirsty. I don't know if that's coming through. He's
you know, Allison, we have a someone out, one of our viewers would like you to go over the beak again and kind of show and describe what you did.
All right, so let's do it over here. The beak.
Yeah.
So if this is the head, let's erase our stray marks so that we're not looking at 2 different circles. If this is the head,
make sure it's dark too for us.
Good call. If this is the head, the beak kind of starts sort of on the
kind of like at 5 o'clock.
Kind of like at 5 o'clock. I couldn't have put it better myself.
4:30 maybe.
So I made a mark at 5 o'clock. It kind of breaks the picture or the circle plane, comes out and over sort of here. And this line kind of comes over like this. Let's erase the inside of that. And we get sort of a wedge line over here. This has kind of a mark over here, and I'm leaving this open. This kind of comes, this is a dark sort of shape over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and place the eyeball over here. And then this kind of brown halftone shape comes up and over here.
Okay.
This all gets filled in with our lighter tone.
Right.
And then same problem here I had before. Actually, there's a lot more room over here. There's our owl. There we go. And so this is back to everybody and nobody knows how to draw.
Yeah.
It's all about making a mark based on some kind of basic measurements, taking a look at it and saying, all of this is good. You know what's not is that. And then lead with your eraser, get rid of it and go back in.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm just gonna kind of finish filling in these kind of medium tones for my sketchbook.
The shading with a pencil is such an art.
Yeah, and you're gonna find kind of your own mark for that. You're
Yeah.
gonna kind of have a different way to do that. We're kind of working in 3 values here. We're working in the sort of the white of the paper that's this kind of almond ivory color. We're working with this sort of dark tone, and we're working with kind of an in-between, and we're keeping it that simple.
Yep. I learned a trick online. It said, before you start shading, to kind of take your pencil, make 3 boxes at the bottom or whatever, like this here. Do you see that?
Oh,
And-
nice, Hershey.
And so
Yeah.
you practice making the 3 tones, and then it's easier to kind of match when you know what you're doing. So take those,
Let's
whatever
do
your 3
that.
tones are, doesn't matter. Yeah, there you go.
All
And
right.
then-
This is going to
Yep.
stick with the white of the paper. This is going to be our dark. And this is our in between.
There you go.
I love it. All right. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the moth. If you're still working on your owl, you can pause me live. That's a thing. You can hit pause.
That's a thing.
It's a thing. It's a thing. You can watch this again, or you can look at your drawing and say, I drew an owl today and I'm kind of proud of it. And I drew it completely
Yeah.
freehand and it looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and flip the page. All of the above are good options, or you could watch this again. This is
Yeah,
gonna be fun.
personally, I'm right there with you. I'm done. I think my owl's great.
I think it's a good looking owl. It's the second one I've drawn
Yeah.
today, and because this is my first one. Yeah, it's better than that one. So
Yeah, I could say it's not going to get any better with me
so,
tinkering. So,
so
I'm
yeah,
gonna move
it's
on.
time to flip the page and move on. So this one we're actually gonna do sort of portrait style. I have my journal
Oh, you
horizontal.
know what, Allison, real quick, we're getting
Yeah.
some hits from our subscribers about the shading still with the pencil.
Mhm.
Do you shade with just the side of the pencils? Are you able to shade with the top? Like, what are your techniques?
So there are so many ways to hold a pen. Some people like to not hold the pencil like you're taught how to hold a pencil in elementary school when you write. I cannot not do that. I have to hold it like you hold a pencil or a fork or something like that. I have to hold it that way. Some people like to go on the side. Some people like to work up
Oh, they like to do this
here.
kind of stuff. Yeah.
It's gonna be something you just gotta go with. You gotta figure out what's comfortable. The important thing is to kind of hit these tones that Hershey gave us this really good guide for. And however you get there is the right way. When I hold a paintbrush and I do my oil paintings, and this is, I think, less people do this, but I hold it like I hold a brush like I hold a pencil.
Yeah.
Some people like have these really beautiful, and it looks almost lyrical how they hold a paintbrush. Not me.
Yeah.
Not how.
Yeah. And I think with shading, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're pretty much always going to use 3 tones, right? It's going to be the dark,
In
the
this
light, and the
instance,
middle.
Yes.
Okay.
In this instance.
Yeah.
And then if we ever do just some really detailed drawing for maybe a spin-off or something like that, you can get artist pencils that go very light and go very dark without putting everything you have into it. And it's a good way to work. If we ever do charcoal, another thing you can do with that, where there's more than 3 tones certainly that you can work with, but for our purposes today, we're going to kind of hit those three.
All right.
So, all right. So this is our moth and it's hanging out on this kind of fun and funky flower cluster. And this may be more difficult, maybe less difficult. I'm not sure. I'm going to start with the flower cluster and I'm going to make kind of a U shape, kind of a V and a U on its side, kind of tilting to the left. And I'm going to go ahead and enclose that with, I don't know, kind of a soft pyramid on top. So I kind of made that shape.
More dark. Can you make that darker for us again?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Better?
Yeah, we're seeing it better.
And then I'm going to come down here and I'm looking at this shape right here. And this is kind of, I'm just going to make an oval down here. And then this kind of has a line that comes this way. This is a line that comes this way. This is a line that comes this way. There's kind of this leaf shape, for lack of a better word, that comes this way. And the stem goes off into the edge of the painting or the edge of the picture plane. So that's going to be our foundation for the flower cluster.
Right.
The moth is going to start right in this space right here. And there's kind of 3 legs and whatever a moth, there's hard to say here. Let's actually start with, if this is where the moth is going to hang out, let's put the moth's head right about here.
Right, like kind of draw an imaginary line.
Yeah. So if this line came up, it would hit the moth's, and this is almost a D shape where I've got a circle, but it kind of lands on the line. That's where the moth's head's going to go.
Okay.
And then there's kind of a subtle arc that comes over this way. Hope you can see that. And it's going to kind of come back up and hit that sort of D shape right at the base over there. And coming out of the middle of sort of the circle is a leg right here. And then there's a leg that kind of starts between 3 and 4 o'clock.
There you go.
And comes out here. That will be how we measure from here on out. There's kind of a line right under that. And a line that kind of starts on the body, comes up and back this way. And I'm going to erase all the marks in the circle and leave it at that. The antennas kind of come out from, I don't know, 11 o'clock maybe. And come out sort of each other. So this one, I'd start with the one on the left and then sort of breaking from that and to the right and longer is the one on the right. Also, sometimes I have a hard time with right and left, and I'm going to ask everyone if I get it wrong to correct me.
I think you're doing great.
Go ahead. We're going to go ahead and put that out there. All right. Then this sort of, the side of the D is a little, I made it a little, because I started with a circle, I made that a little round. That's more flat. So I'm going to make that mark like that. And I like how that looks so far. That looks pretty good. All right. We have these 2 big wings that are going to come out, and I'm just going to kind of make marks where I'd like them to sort of end. So this will be sort of an elongated arc that kind of comes out this way. Might be a little long. Move my mark. This one's gonna kind of come down. I want it to hit here. And I want it to hit over here. So I've made 2 marks where I wanted to hit sort of, I want to catch a mark right here and catch a mark right here. So this is gonna come around this way, kind of like that. So this is sort of a ladle shape I've made. And didn't like that line. So around this way. And this one, I want to hit this mark right here. So I'm going to have this one come up and around that way. And then I know I'm going to start with my bottom wing that is in front of the top wing.
Right.
This one's going to make a line this way. I already know that's too high. I'm going to get rid of it. It's going to make a line this way and then over into the body. And this one is going to come still around, up and around this way and over that way. And we'll go ahead and check our work here. All right. This needs to come up a little bit on mine. This wing came too low. This one kind of squares off a little more right here. Comes back over there. There's this sort of shape in here I want to get in. So
how's everybody doing at home? Are you guys finding that
Yeah.
you're needing to erase a lot? Or I know myself, I actually have moved on. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I moved on to a second pencil with the eraser because one eraser, I've done it too much. I've used it all up.
Oh, did you decapitate it?
I did. Yep.
I've decapitated a few of these erasers. All right, this looks good. So back over here, there is a dark part of the top of the moth that I'm going to kind of scribble in. And I've already made that too long, so we're going to fix that. It sits up more like that. There's a dark part over here that we scribble in. That looks pretty good. It's dark around the perimeter of this shape we just put in. There's a dark line that sort of starts in the middle of this, comes up and over, comes back around there. And then I'm going to catch on my drawing, it's the underside of it that I'm going to fill it in with, just because that's where I need more. That's where I had enough room to finish it. Fill that in. I'm going to work on the flowers now. Let's start with this cluster. So
yeah, this seems like it might be the hard part here.
We're going to make sure it's not. All right.
Okay.
So
a little daunting. I'm scared.
Yeah. So this area right in here, we're going to kind of I'm going to kind of carve out some of the negative space right here. And so it's kind of almost sort of claw shaped so I've just kind of cut out some of that area just like this. I'm going to erase some of these stray marks and this whole area will end up being dark. All right.
Okay. Erase
this area over here. And this area comes to this. I'm going to draw the negative space.
So you're drawing in where it's going to be really dark.
I'm drawing in this kind of green shape, which is not the flower, but the flower
inside there. Okay.
So this shape kind of goes like this. This comes up like this. And then this whole area, for the most part, is pretty dark. This is all sort of the same shape. All right. So we're going to kind of connect these lines with kind of a pit shape, right? With kind of a pit line that comes down and around like this. And this is where our flowers sort of begin. So I'm gonna put a flower kind of right here. And these are kind of 5 petal flowers. So we're not gonna worry
You
too
know,
much about what they look like.
can we real quick over the, us out there? One of the comments came in about negative space. What is
Sure.
negative space, and which, and identifying on your drawing what is a negative space and what isn't?
So when artists refer to negative space, they're drawing not the object they're drawing, but the space around the object they're drawing. And so
Okay.
if we're going to draw the negative space around the flower, it's going to be the shape of the atmosphere around the flower, not the flower itself. So in this instance, it's these two sort of green triangle shapes we
Mhm.
got in right here and here. And that helped us draw this kind of tricky shape we're doing. We didn't hit all the stems. We drew these two green wedge shapes around it. So
Gotcha.
I dropped a flower right here. There's also kind of a flower behind it. And this is one of these things in nature where it would be a mistake to try and render this exactly as so, because there's no reason to. It's an organic shape. All right, so I got these two flowers. I got these two flowers here. There's this kind of cluster of 4 flowers right here. I'm going to pop in right around here. This one's kind of on its side. 5 petal flower number 1. This one's looking a little bit more at us. This one underneath. And this one's kind of smushed behind. We don't see all of it. There we go. So we have this cluster in. We have this cluster in. This one's got a little sort of guy peeking out from behind that we don't see all of. There's 2 flowers here. So I'm going to put this one down here.
Can you make those flowers just a little bit darker for us?
Sure. Drop this guy in.
When you originally drew this flower, do you know what kind of flower it is?
I don't, but we could try and figure that out.
I will figure it out for sure, but I just wanted to know.
It's kind of fun, right?
Yeah.
Over here in this shape, there's a flower and 2 little sort of. So here's our flower, and it's got little wispies.
When you draw the flowers that aren't totally straight up at us and they come at us a little bit sideways, how are you doing that? Just kind of making an oval instead of a circle?
Yeah, I'm just kind of letting it warp itself, sort of. So over here we got one right where this foot is. So I'm kind of stretching it as if there was an oval underneath. There's like a warped flower right here. We got one that's almost looking right at us. Right next to it. Another one that we're catching maybe some of behind. This one kind of comes around this way. And please don't make this look exactly like mine, because
right.
the mistake for anything in nature, we're doing our best to get this kind of how it goes. Up here, there's 2 blossoms right here, both on their side. So this one kind of peeks up. This one kind of comes around like this. This one is almost completely flat. We've got 2 up here that kind of break. I'm going to put them above our kind of cluster mark.
Mm-hmm.
Around here. Around here. This is the cluster we already have in. There's kind of one right over here that sort of comes up and around like this. There's this grouping right here. To make sure I get, we're not working too hard to see where these fall and line up with each other, because it's unnecessary for this type of piece. These guys.
I think something else that I noticed too is that all of the, like, there should be enough flowers over the top to where there's like a terminus to everything.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Right?
so that, yeah, you fill in the sort of,
Yeah.
all right. So I've decided these are kind of the flowers I'm going to include. All right. And now I'm going to sort of erase our guidelines here that we gave ourselves. Just like that. And then this grouping down here is kind of this dark area down here. So again, I'm going to work with a negative space. So there's this green sort of shape that comes around here. Going to drop that in kind of over here. There's one that kind of sits right like this. And then the rest of this around here, all of this, I'm going to go ahead and fill in dark.
Okay.
Again, how you like to fill something in is up to you.
The negative space is so like, it's such a good trick to figure out where you do want to put stuff.
Exactly. So all of this. All right, these guys over here need some stems coming down. So I'm just going to kind of draw in some stems, and it's got this kind of jagged edge over here. Just like that. And then the rest of these flowers that are up in here, I'm just going to kind of give them some stems coming down. So this one comes sort of down like this. This one kind of goes the other way. These two, it's like a V sort of shape. This one kind of just comes down this way. This one comes down this way. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of fill in now the whole, I'm going to get rid of the stray marks. And look at our flower cluster.
Yeah, it's coming together, right?
Coming together. So we're just going to kind of fill this in with our medium tone. So if we do our tones like Hershey suggested, or this is the white of the paper, this is our medium, this is our dark. And we've got our darks in the centers of the flowers right now and in the moth.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fill this in with our medium tone, and then I'm going to decide where to put the darks in this instance.
Oh, that's a great idea, because
I usually work the other way, but in this instance, I think it's going to be easier once I see what this shape looks like to decide where my darker tones go. All right. So with that said, and I've got this pretty well filled in, I can get rid of some of my stray marks here. There's kind of a V of the darker shape that sort of begins with this group and ends with this group. So I'm going to fill in this V around here.
And Allison, like you said, this isn't a science. Like, it's just wherever yours. Yeah.
We're just kind of looking for the basic way we want this to go. And this is drawing practice, but to make this particular shape too accurate would just, it's unnecessary.
Right.
It's kind of square peg round hole. It's just making, it's too hard. And there's no benefit to it. We're just trying to kind of figure out how the shape moves and exists.
Right.
Over here, this is kind of this sort of almost like the feet of our owl. There's this kind of talon shape that comes up and around in here. Got this in. And that looks, it's dark on the underside of this, what I'm calling a leaf shape. It's dark on the side of the stem. And I think that looks pretty good, guys.
Yeah. What do you guys, let me show that? I'll show you guys mine. Let's see. Can you guys all see that?
Oh, Hershey looks fantastic.
Yeah, I think I did a great job.
You did such a great job. All right.
Yeah.
On that note, if you want to keep working on that, keep working on that. I'm just going to get in some of the veining. of our moth. And I'm going to start in the middle of this sort of shape right over here that we established. And this is sort of a shape that goes up and around like this and runs into the wing. Up and around like this and runs into the wing. And the way I'm going to do this under here are just some lines that go this way, a line that goes that way. This line kind of starts on the wing ends in the middle, comes back around like this. This one gets a little heavier around here, comes around. For this top line, I'm going to start on the edge and don't like that line. Just make some marks. They get closer together as we go in, just like that. One of them is darker on the edging comes in.
We got Julie at home, who you guys all know. She's a regular. She's a been here every
regular,
time.
perfect attendance. Yes.
She was just commenting on how she prefers it when we get to trace, so she doesn't have to freehand. And like, I hear you, sister. I hear you.
So you bring up an excellent point. We are going to, when it comes to painting, trace all these lines onto your canvas. We are just going to practice 1 day a month, freehand drawing the images we're going to paint. This will help you paint when we get to it. And
it will. And you know, as somebody who's learning, I mean, I'm definitely like at the lowest level. There's nobody out there who is a worse artist than me before this all started. And honestly, within a week of doing art with Allison, I was already starting to feel the need to be able to draw better. So you will need these skills.
A little bit goes a long way, and then you just keep building on that.
Yeah.
And that's what you say to anyone that's like, I can't. You're like, no, you've one, I know you haven't practiced as much as I have. And two,
right.
Some people have, but the people who tell me that haven't. I'm just going to kind of establish these.
Oh, sorry. You know what? I made a mistake. That wasn't Julie, who's been with us all the time. That was Aunt Jill. I misread that.
Ah.
Hi, Aunt Jill.
Joining us from Seattle.
Oh, Seattle. Nice. Very cool.
Yes. All right. So I'm just cleaning up some of my edges. This veining in here is going to be our medium tone. So I'm just going to fill in some of this veining with our medium tone. Just like this. And speaking of the final paintings, if you'd like to get started on your final paintings, you had so much fun drawing the moth and the owl and the flower cluster. You can scan one of these codes.
Yeah.
Have the paint. Give it a try. How, you know, and then you can catch us on any of the next 2 Wednesdays. We're going to paint the owl next Wednesday and the moth after that. And ask questions, or we'll find out what kind of is stuck. We're going to paint it, but we're not going to paint it in real time. We're going to have the swaps so that we're not here, you know, not everyone has to paint at the same stroke at the same time. So you can
which one's next Wednesday? The owl?
Next Wednesday is the owl.
Yeah, so that's an excellent point, because you guys we'll see you guys we do see you on Wednesday or next Wednesday to paint. Allison has lots of swap outs ready for us so that she can kind of get through the whole thing in a short amount of time. But like she mentioned, the whole thing's already there. And I would recommend you trying it out, even just inside your art journal before we go, before we do it together on Wednesday.
Yeah,
because
that's a really good
my
idea.
best questions have been made is when I tried it.
Yeah, just give it a try. Or Hershey and I are going to go live, and we have kind of planned what we're going to do. We're going to work in our, we're going to work with, you saw, you got Brad's with the wing
Ooh, yeah.
template. We're going to do this next Monday, where we put together how the wings go. And I was just showing Hershey, he was talking about how he likes a folded angel wing, and that's kind of what this is. And so we're going to talk about how wings have these pivot points on all of them. Bird wings do at least. And they come in different proportions, but understanding those, you can kind of add wings to anything. And we're going to work on winged creatures. Next Wednesday, we're going to paint the owl. The following journal Monday, we're going to work with feathers, and sort of feathers metaphorically and symbolically and visually. And I have some fun stuff planned for all that. Then we're going to do our moth. Then we're going to work a little bit on wings as an idea. And we got the flying pig that we're going to pull out, and other things, ideas of wings, ideas, the idea of what it means to add wings to something and what it doesn't. And then the last Wednesday after that, we're going to pick something from our journals and paint it. And hopefully they're all different. If you'd like to paint what I'm doing or what Hirsch is doing, we encourage that too. So
yeah,
that's what I've got for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Allison, so much. Allison and I, as soon as we end this, just so you guys know, as soon as we end this live stream, it'll be available again on YouTube. So check us out there. If there's anything you saw today that you wanted extra help on, we will see you next Monday, like Allison was saying, for like a hands-on thing that we'll be doing lots of other stuff, different types of art. And then you could please don't forget, go to our Facebook, like us, go to our YouTube, subscribe, do whatever you, follow us so that we can reach you guys with our updates and whatnot. And thank you so much. And one more thing I want to say, special thank you to Julie Crary. I did get the slippers in the mail, and I just want to say thank you so much. I love you so much. Thank you, Kevin. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right, bye.